Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
What's up, everybody? Sorry about the little delay there. Computer running a little bit slower than I am. Anyway, a lot of good promises and stuff there from Donald Trump, and I really hope that he follows through on this one. You know, I do support his agenda. I do support what he's trying to do, and currently I am supporting him for his next election. Hopefully, though, this time the promises of basically draining the swamp, hopefully this time will actually come true. We saw many promises made, but maybe it was his lack of experience, I don't know, but his attempt to drain the swamp to correct all this deep state activity and stuff like that didn't work out as well as he would have liked. But I think the rest of us Americans, we do want to see it. I think we're excited to see it, and I think we're excited to see our nation get back to normal. What we've been seeing out here just seems like a lot of corruption and a lot of problems, a lot of greed, and it's ripping us all apart. We're no longer the nation that we used to be. We are no longer that powerhouse that people used to respect from coast to coast. And if you guys have been watching the news, you know, you're seeing bodies piling up in the Ukraine, failed military attempts in other places, and just a lot of people in general from even coast to coast on our shores are getting hurt. My name is Drew Smith. This is We Talk Freely. And I go through my feeds, I go through the videos and stuff, I go through news articles and all this fun stuff, and just kind of pull out what I find to be relevant, what I think people should be hearing, and things that should be discussed. This is an open platform to say what you want, to say how you feel, to instigate any kind of open conversation. I just ask that we all do it politely and kind of stick to the old ways of peace, love, unity, and respect. You know, I still stand for that stuff. And I think that it'd be really good for our country and for everyone around me if we could all get back to that model and actually talk about some of these issues. You know, when Trump ran last time, we saw everyone freak out, and we saw all these news agencies kind of push their own personal agendas. You know, there was a lot of ideologies that on the surface looked like great ideas. You know, as an example, you know, the green energy initiatives. You know, I may be conservative, but I do like the idea of green energy. I like the idea of being able to power my whole home from just the sunlight in the sky or the wind brushing through the trees. That would be all fantastic, but we're not there yet. And hurting my neighbors' wallets and mine to experiment on those ideals just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. You know, I don't think it's worth the cost yet. You know, nobody, you know, when we look at the whole climate agenda and things that are going on, blaming random wildfires, blaming hurricanes and things like that on this climate agenda doesn't make much sense, especially when the people that are on TV, the people with lots of money that are telling us about this climate agenda are telling us that our ocean levels are going to be rising by this amount of inches or feet or whatever by this date. And yet you see these people buying mansions and properties all on the coastline. And it's like, well, wait, you just told me that whole beach is going to be completely underwater in a couple of years. Why are you moving your family there? There's just so much in this that seems wild, but I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. Today we've got we got a few stories, nothing too crazy. You know, I'll say this. You know, I see this stuff about a new game, Starfield, that came out, and there's so much back and forth on it, and I decided to opt that out of my news story because it's just wild. It's people looking for a fight, I think, that just really shouldn't be there. If a gaming company wants to put pronouns and random stuff in their game, that's fine. The gamers themselves will sit there and they'll vote with their dollar. If they don't want that stuff in the game, they're not going to buy the game. You know, and so, you know, I see a lot of people that I really respect in my news feeds, and they're kind of making that a big deal. But I don't think that's as much of a big deal as, let me see here, as this article right here. Today, it released that, there we go. From Newsmax, we've got this article here. Watchdog group demands probe of Senator Warnock's income. You know, that's here in Georgia, and I know you guys have been hearing a lot of news about different aspects of Georgia. You know, you've been hearing about Fulton County. We heard about the election issues a couple years back with the weird vote tallies, weird vote counts, and then Donald Trump called in and called to Governor Kemp about some of the stuff that he's been hearing about this. And now we have Senator Warnock, who apparently has some financial issues in the state. I'll read on into this article here for you. Watchdog group is demanding the Senate Select Committee on Ethics investigate Senator Raphael Warnock, Democrat of Georgia, violated federal law by allegedly using an accounting loophole to rake in more than 4 times the outside income limit for senators in 2022. The Washington Free Beacon reported. The Foundation of Accountability, in a complaint, said it wants the panel to determine if Warnock lied on his 22 financial disclosure. At issue is his $155,000 salary for serving as the part-time pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. There is a $30,000 outside limit for senators. That's pretty egregious right there, if this is true. Now remember, they're asking for an investigation into this, and I do believe that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. I may not be a big Warnock fan or anything like that, but I'm not going to condemn him right away. However, I do see this a lot in modern politics especially. I see a lot of people using their positions of power to rake in extra money, to kind of skirt or circumnavigate laws, regulations, and things like that. You know, I remember a little while ago there was Pelosi bets. I don't know if you guys ever paid attention to that. Google it up if you want to, but basically what you're going to find is that there was people that were following the Pelosi investment bets, basically, the stocks and things that they were buying up in, and they were making a lot of money. And it seemed very weird that somebody in her position would just constantly be getting all this, getting on all these stocks at just the right time and making all kinds of money. And now if you look at it, Nancy Pelosi is a multimillionaire. And that's pretty wild considering she's in a position where she's considered a public servant. I don't think anybody in government really should be getting that kind of rich off of it. Now, am I upset that politicians or people in general are getting wealthy? No, that's not where I'm upset. But what it seems like to a lot of people out there is that, you know, Pelosi was using her inside knowledge of what was coming down the pipe, like laws and different things that were about to get passed or presented, and she was investing or divesting in just the right time. And so I'm kind of upset actually at the end of the day that we haven't seen further investigations from Republicans or from anybody, Democrats as well, into whether politicians are using that advanced knowledge to get ahead of the curve. But then again, you got to ask yourself, are they using that kind of knowledge themselves? Probably. But anyway, going back to this, you know, Warnock claimed $125,000 of his pastor pay in 2022 was actually deferred compensation for work he did for the church before he assumed political office on January 20th, 2021, the Beacon reported. Quote, either Senator Warnock and his church had a deferred compensation agreement with that both have conspicuously failed to report the existence of for years, or he received outside income of over 4 times the legal limit. Fact, Executive Director Kendra Arnold said. That's a good point. You know, there's a lot of controversy, you know, especially going up into these last elections and everything, you know, about these people, about the different politicians, Democrats, Republicans, everybody coming up. Are these people paid? Are they being funded from darker sites or darker places, basically? Is there illegal money running around in our elections? Are our politicians being bought off? These are kind of questions that I hear a lot from people, or assumptions and conspiracies that people are constantly throwing out there. You know, all politicians are crooked, you know, and I've actually heard all of this since I was like a little kid. You know, like all these politicians are bought, you know, the lobbyists and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, stuff like this could definitely be evidence of that. You know, to me, this is very relevant. I'm very curious about this whole thing. Newsmax goes much further into this story. I highly suggest you go over to Newsmax website and check it out. But I'm going to be following this one, and as more information comes out, I'm definitely going to update you. You know, I'm a Georgia boy here, so as you see over my shoulder, oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Got my 2 G's behind me. You know, I'm a big Georgia fan. But, you know, this hits close to home, so I'll definitely be reporting on it here in the future a little bit more. So check it out, and let's move on. So speaking of that corruption, we've been talking about with the investigations or the indictments against Trump. And me personally, I think there's definitely some corruption here. I think there's some bias, and I think the biased nature of all of this is where the corruption lies. Let me see here. Give you guys the good tab. There we go. So this is from Just the News. Georgia Secretary of State Raffensperger says he can't keep Trump off the ballot in 2024. And I think most of us knew that that was going to be the outcome of all this, but it doesn't stop other states across the nation from trying to use the 14th Amendment to knock him off. And so this is a big reason why Fani Willis is really trying to push the criminal charges that she's got going on in Georgia as fast as she possibly can, because if they can somehow convict Trump of the RICO charges, of anything illegal, then there's a chance that the 14th Amendment is going to come into play and he'll be removed from certain key states. And if you actually pay attention, the states that are all trying to press charges are key battleground states that are required for a president to win in the United States. But this article goes on to say, Georgia GOP Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger published an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal on Wednesday arguing why he cannot keep former President Donald Trump off the 2024 presidential ballot. Some legal scholars are arguing that secretaries of state should remove Trump from their ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which states that a public official is ineligible for public office if he has engaged in insurrection or rebellion against America, Raffensperger writes. So this is a big reason why you guys hear the news, the mainstream media news, you hear a lot of Democrat politicians, they're always using that term insurrection. They're specifically harping on that because they want this to fall under the 14th Amendment. If they can get him on the 14th Amendment, like I said, key battleground states are going to wipe him off the ballot, and it doesn't matter if you want to write him in or not, he's not going to be able to win those states. And then all of a sudden, the Democrat hopeful is going to win. Especially when you consider, if you look at the numbers and the stats that have been going on recently, look how far ahead Trump is over every other candidate in the Republican race. I think I heard today he's 46% above Governor Ron DeSantis, and then he's like 50 to 60 points above everybody else, going down or getting higher number. So like it's going to be such a torn election on the conservative side if we're stuck on having to pick from the people that we don't really support that much. Like Tim Scott, I think I heard he's at like 2%, 1%. Vivek Ramaswamy, he's at 3%. And Chris Christie, I heard it in his home state, hit -1 somehow. I didn't even know that was possible. But, the choices are so abysmal, and it doesn't seem to be where Americans want to be. We want Trump, especially people within the GOP. And I'm also starting to see kind of a new walk away type movement within the entire political scape. A few of the videos that I've posted in the past, in the beginning, I've showed you a lot of individuals from Twitter and from, or X, I guess and from my Truth and from a few other feeds. We've got new people of different races that are coming over. They're tired of being used and manipulated by the Democrat Party. And so now a lot of people are coming out and saying, hey, I'm over it. I'm voting for Trump. Things were better under Trump. That's the direction I want to go. So where are these people going to vote if Trump is removed from the ballot? That's the real question I would really like to ask. And if you're somebody who's on the fence about whether you should vote Democrat or vote Republican or vote Trump, definitely, give me some insight down in the chat below. The majority of the people that I speak to are very polarized. They either hate Trump adamantly or they are all for Trump all the way. And I saw an article earlier, I think it was MSNBC, don't quote me on this, but they were reporting that Trump and Biden are tied neck and neck. That's tough, and that's not really congruent with what I'm hearing from people. But it'd be interesting to hear from Biden voters, without being bombastic and without being crazy about it. I'd like to hear what you guys think that Biden has done well, because I'm very interested in that. Obviously, I hear a lot of biased reporting, but whenever I go over to the left, whenever I go to the Democrat websites, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, and I go to all these mainstream sites that are pretty much pro-Biden, pro-democracy, pro-Democrat Party, unfortunately, the only thing I'm hearing a lot of is boo Trump, anti-Trump, Trump bad, orange man bad kind of stuff, like that's all I'm hearing over and over and over and over again. And that's fine. You don't like Trump, that's cool. I'll ride with you on that conversation. I'm not interested in hearing so much about why you don't like Trump. What I want to hear about is what good things has Biden done for you. I'd like to hear about the economy, what you guys are thinking on that. I'd like to hear on foreign relations, what good things you're hearing from that. Education, and most importantly, out of everything that I'd like to hear about why you like Biden or the Biden administration, I'd like to hear about things that he promised. One of the things that burns me the most, and I was willing to give him credit on if he could pull this one off, is the cure for cancer that he promised for so many people. I've got so many people in my life that I love, good friends of mine, and people that I admire, people that I know, that are all suffering from the big C. And I'm not seeing any kind of positive movement forward coming from the Biden administration on this. I heard something about, prescription drug prices are coming down a little bit, but, we're on this arc that went way up here, and now we're just kind of like maybe down right here. We're back onto the chart. Instead of being off the chart up here, we're just down here. But we were right about here. So, I'd like to see, I'd like to hear from Biden supporters, from Democrat supporters. I'd like to hear the honest, good stuff. I've had a few people in the comments come in and they're just like, man, Trump's this, that, and the other. That's fine. I hear that every day. You ain't telling me nothing new. I know what people's opinion of Trump is. Now, I want to hear the praise of Biden. I want to hear the praise of the Biden administration. And I also like to hear from other supporters of other Democrats too. I want to hear what good is the Democrat Party doing for America? Because right now the only people I see coming up in the Democrat America is other rich people. I see car manufacturers getting boosted on one side and then shut down on another. I keep hearing about all these new jobs that are being created, but I still, whenever I drive around my city and I drive up to like Atlanta or stuff like that, all I'm seeing is shut down businesses all over the place where I used to go shop all the time. So, maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm just looking for this stuff. If you could, jump down in the comments below and let me know. So let me jump off of this article. Speaking of other states with that have been really in the news since the election, is Arizona. And I wanted to pop this up before I go to my last subject. And my last subject I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. It's not so much politics on that one. It's a little bit more health. But first I'd like to talk about this. We've had a big old battle there in Arizona now for a while. And let me get this advertising out of my face. And this is, one of the reasons why I'm still open to hearing both sides of the argument on election integrity, because we heard over and over again for a couple years after the last election that it was the cleanest and clearest election of all times. And so, with that kind of a track record, if you really believe that it was a clean and clear election, then we should still be seeing that kind of behavior fundamentally from there on out. And it should be getting even better and better and better as we go along. However, when we saw the midterm elections, Kari Lake, Katie Hobbs, I believe it was, there was a lot of issues there. And, much credit to Kari Lake for continuing to battle for election integrity, for transparency, and to secure our, I'm at a loss for words today, our trust in the voting system, basically. We a lot of people I know, like I said in episodes in the past, a lot of people I know are just, they don't believe their votes count anymore. People without, it's not that they believe that there was like massive kind of a fraud or anything that was going on, but they just don't believe that they can be trusted. And so they're like, well, and I've heard it so many times, my vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter anyways. It's going to be pushed one way or another. The media is going to convince everyone that X candidate is great and Y candidate is awful. And it just doesn't matter what I say or do. It doesn't matter if I go to vote because it's just not going to get counted anyway. And so we got kind of like I guess it's the black pill mentality that's really been growing here in this region and what I'm seeing all over the states. People are kind of giving up because not only do we see problems, but the problems that we do see, like I said, I think it was last episode, these cases are being dismissed. They're not being handled in courts. If you've got somebody that's bringing up fraud claims or anything of that nature, then the court should make a stance on it. They should go through all the investigations and and bring us a verdict on what actually happened. Bring the truth out to light so people can understand. And if they see certain behaviors or certain activities going on at their favorite polling locations, they can report it or they can avoid it and go to another. Like, we had so many alternative methods to vote last time, but so many people ended up being very discouraged. And I don't know if y'all noticed too, the midterm votings are rough anyways. But so this article goes in to say, election integrity win. Arizona court rules against state's unlawful signature matching processes. This is brought to you by the Western Journal, by the way. Like I said, I want to be transparent so you guys can know where to find it. I do believe, right up here. That way, across the blue bar, you should be able to see the heading of it. But anyway, the public interest group Restoring Integrity and Trust in Elections declared it had secured a massive win for election integrity following a Friday Arizona court ruling in its favor. In March, RITE, sued Democratic Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, arguing his office's election procedures manual violates the law regarding the mail-in ballot signature verification process. Quote, while state law requires county recorders to match mail-in ballot signatures with signatures in the voter registration record, the Secretary instructed them to use a broader and less reliable universe of comparison signatures, the group said in Monday news release. And that means, quote, that means the Secretary was requiring ballots to be counted despite using a signature that did not match anything in the voter's registration record. This was a clear violation of state law, Wright asserted. So basically what it's saying is, even though the hand signature didn't match, they counted the votes anyway. Now I'm curious on this, how many of those votes are in there? And does that mean Kari Lake should have won? I understand why people are losing confidence in their elections. I understand the argument now when people say, man, my vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter anyway, because stuff like this right here. Why would you count a ballot if the signatures and maybe information didn't match? Last episode, I showed you a lot of stuff here from the state of Georgia. 149, 150,000 votes were counted that should not have been legally counted, but they were counted anyway. Almost 150,000 votes versus a 12,000 vote win for President Biden, right? That doesn't work out for me. If we knew that there was that many invalid votes, Georgia should have been flipped, and the outcome, honestly, should have been a lot different. If those judges weren't dismissing those court cases in the very beginning, things would be a lot different right now. And dare I say, things would be a lot cheaper right now, too. In a Friday ruling rejecting a motion to dismiss the case filed by Fontes and the group, was it Mi Familia Vota, Yavapai County Superior Court Judge John Napper agrees with Wright's conclusion concerning the law. Yeah, I know I'm horrible at pronunciation. I'm a Georgian. We speak very basic and clear. But yeah, that's the sentence I literally just read. Don't shoot me. So, let's see here. Further, the Secretary's signature match process in the elections procedures manually unlawfully contradicts the plain language of Arizona state law by permitting signature comparison with documents that have nothing to do with the act of registering. Let's see here. But basically, this goes on and just specifically goes more into detail about all of this, the legal process of it. I highly suggest you go check out the Western Journal here. This is actually a really decent article. There's a bunch of videos that go along with this as well. If you want to dig down and get more information, please go check it out. I can't sit here and read every article from top to bottom and show every picture. We're not in kindergarten class anymore. If you're watching this, you should be an adult. Take the time. Go check this out. You know, like I said, if you got time for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all this other, go check this out. Then go have fun on social media and do all of that other stuff. Let's see here. So lastly, Joe Rogan and Bill Maher have been in the news, and I want to get over there to them because this is a subject matter that really hits close to home for me. A lot of people don't know is that I'm a former big guy. All right. One of my biggest claim to my energy today, and my way of getting into like DJing and all this other stuff was the confidence I got from losing massive amounts of weight. I got really bad and it really destroyed my confidence, and so I decided to take measures into my own hands. So when I see these stories, I really want to bring them up to people. I really want to talk to people about them, and so I figured, here on my platform, this would be a great time to do it. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher call out Ozempic as a false cure to American obesity crisis. I agree with a lot of this. Let me duplicate. Oh, wrong mouse. Hold on a second. I've got two computer mice up here, and sometimes I get confused. There we go. Let me steal this article back from you guys. All right, so Bill Maher and Joe Rogan slammed the latest weight loss craze to sweep a desperately obese nation as a vehicle for Wall Street profits over metabolic health. There's a lot of this. In my journey, I saw so many of these different programs. And actually, I'm going to throw up this video. This is directly from the interview here. And I kind of subsectioned out what I wanted to show you guys. So give this a listen, and we're going to talk about it.
Because now we've given up on the idea that obesity is something that can be contained by exercise and diet. It's now a disease.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these new drugs they have.
Ozempic. And things like
Ozempic.
that. Yeah.
I was reading about Ozempic. I didn't know this until recently. They have zero clue why it works. They know that it works, just not why. This would bother me a
Yeah.
little, you know.
It should.
That if they're giving me something and they're like, hey, this new miracle pill, just take it. We're working on the reason why it might do this to you, but until then, just fuck it.
There's no biological free lunch either. I have friends that are on that stuff, and one friend who just got off of it because he was having some serious gastrointestinal issues that are apparently one of the side effects. There's no free lunch. If you're taking an injection that makes you less hungry, something's going on. That's
He's right. You know, these guys go in to talk a lot more about this, and I really, you know, I suggest going in if you guys are Joe Rogan fans or not, Bill Maher fans or not. What they're talking about is legitimate here, and I think that everyone kind of needs to talk a little bit more about how we get to that point of obesity. You know, like I said, I was a big dude. How big was I? I was 317 pounds. Doesn't look like it anymore, right? But I do got the dad gut going on. You know, I got to do a little bit better on that one. You know, I want to make excuses for it, but I know I could become a little bit more active. But no, I went from 317 all the way down to 190 pounds is where I'm sitting at right now. And you know, I looked at the many things that I did, and, you know, I even considered using weight loss medications and stuff like that to cut that weight. But at the end of it, what ended up working the best was my lifestyle choices. Did I get out there and just start working out and getting all pumped and ripped? No, you're actually probably looking at one of the laziest people you could imagine, you know. I'm not that good of a workout guy. I try to be. I really want to. I'm trying to incentivize my daughter to get into it. You know, she's starting to get into like school activities and things. And, you know, in today's day and age, it's really easy to get out of shape. You know, and I almost wonder, you know, for other conspiracies that are going on, if that might play a part in why people are literally just dropping dead. But we'll go into all that on another episode because I got to find out what the rules are about talking about some of that stuff. But one thing that I think would really help people, it's not going to be medication. Well, I mean, there may be for like 1 out of 20 people or something like that. And for the people that have like serious medical issues that are causing their weight gain, I'm not talking at you on this one. I'm not talking about you on this. I understand that there are some people out there that there's just nothing they could do. They could go out there and pump weights for like 3 hours a day, go running for another 2, and then at the end of the day they put on weight because they're adding muscle to all the other problems that they've got. You know, so I'm not talking at y'all, but I'm talking about normal, healthy people that have found themselves in the obese range, the people that put on quite a bit of weight range like I did. A big problem that I'm finding, the difference between like 50 years ago and today is that people in general were out and about way more. You know, I talk about this all the time, you know, like when we were kids, we didn't have cell phones and you know, pagers and stuff like that. All we had was landline phones, and half the time you couldn't use that landline phone because your mom or your dad might have been on the internet or somebody was talking on the phone. You know, that phone line was clogged up. So if you wanted to go find your friends, you had to get on your bike and go ride up the street and see where all the bikes were parked out front. You know, if there's like 3 bikes over there at Jimmy's house, you knew that people were collecting over there, so you wanted to go hang out. But the thing is we were active. We were real active. Now look, you know, I'm a dad. So I say to you, other parents out there, look at your kids now. Are they getting out there like that? Are they going riding down the street and going and playing football or whatever outside? No, no. Instead, they're getting on their phone and they got stuff like Discord and whatever so the social medias that they're using to communicate with each other, and they're right there on the couch with that little device in their hand, just, hey, what up, homie? They're doing that whole thing. They're not actually doing the stuff that we did. So automatically, like the younger generations right now, they're already getting a little bit more plump than my generations were. Most kids my age back in the day, like 30 years ago, yeah, we were out getting it. Every single day I was outside the house. I was either walking down the street or I was jumping on my bike and riding. But these kids, they don't get to do that. And so now I'm looking at you guys as adults too. What is it that you guys are doing active? A big part of my weight gain or my weight loss was just getting out of the house. I didn't realize, I'm a big gamer. I'm a big computer geek. I'm always messing with technology. And so I find myself constantly planted in the seat. And even now, I know that's why my dad gut is starting to grow. I've been spending so much time researching and looking for stuff to bring to you guys here. But that's something that we have to address in our lifestyles. What is it that we can do to get out of the house and start burning off those calories? It's not going to be some kind of drug. If we start taking a medicine that's going to create other problems, what's going to end up happening when that other problem that's created puts you back on the couch? Because you can't either be out in the sunlight, or too much exercise is bad for your heart now, or something like that. Some of the medicines that we were mandated to take, I wonder if that plays a big part in it, because we had a year and a half of lockdowns where people were trapped inside their houses. And then the lockdowns were lifted and everyone's like, okay, kid, you got to go out there and play football now. Or, everybody's getting out there and trying to be active, and all of a sudden we got people dropping dead. You lost a lot of muscle there. Your heart lost a lot of condition too when you were stuck inside your house. And there's a lot of other factors of reducing oxygen from your system. There's a myriad of it. And I'm no health expert, but I can look at this stuff on the surface and just look at the obvious stuff that's going on, So obesity is a big thing that's on the rise in our country right now. And we've got to take better care of ourselves, and we've got to get more active. I almost wonder if that's why certain, flus or diseases and things like that are becoming more dominant, is because, again, we're not going to Jimmy's house to hang out with the boys. We're instead getting on our cell phones and we're just hitting each other up digitally. Our immune systems are being compromised because of this. Our muscles we're losing muscle mass all over the place, and it's just getting bad. It's getting really, really bad for all of us. So, Bill Maher and Joe Rogan are talking about this medicine here, and I beg of you guys, stay away from these drugs. Stay away from these medicines. Start doing some things that work a little bit better. My main thing is getting more active. And I understand that we don't always have time to get more active, but find some time. If you can find an hour a day where you can just go walk around the neighborhood, or go to a park or something like that. I know it can be inconvenient, especially if you've trained yourself to be in the house, but find something to go do. Find some way to get moving. And if you are stuck at the house and you can't get out, you got kids, you got so much going on, man, $20-30 you can buy some weights from Walmart. There's all kinds of like cheap workout gear that you can buy from somewhere. Heck, go to pawn shops. A lot of that stuff pops up there too, or flea markets, more than pawn shops. Just get some stuff to work out at home. Get yourself busy. Get yourself moving. Find an activity that just gets you into motion. The next thing is a big part, and I watched my first 20 pounds fall off because of this. I ended up quitting drinking. Now, I mean, I'm not telling you everyone has to go quit drinking or anything like that. That's your choice. What you do with your body is you. But not only did I quit drinking alcohol, but at the same time, I cut out the majority of my sodas and the high sugary stuff that I was intaking. And recently, I've been kind of messing up on that, and instantly my body shows the difference. But the most interesting thing that I found after this, I went for like 5 years where I was like, I'm only drinking water. Now, like maybe once a month I'll get a fountain Coke at the most, but every single time I drank one of those sodas, man, it was like, oh, I feel awful. I feel exhausted. Like it's like a awful workout for my body. Once you get that out of your normal routine, you become very, very aware of how it's impacting your body. Now, y'all notice I got hair. I used to be bald, not by choice, but by force. And this is another thing that helped me with my weight loss, was quitting smoking cigarettes. I was a big cigarette smoker. I was smoking about a pack and a half a day. And so I got off of cigarettes. I did start vaping. I didn't completely stop smoking altogether. But getting off of the tar and the chemicals made a big difference too. Like there was a lot of stress that I ended up going through, making these big changes. But I stopped smoking cigarettes, and it made me stop wanting to drink all these different flavored drinks and other things like that. And that's why I think that that's a little bit relevant there. I didn't need to wash that taste out of my mouth anymore. I didn't, and not reaching for a Coca-Cola or a Dr. Pepper or something like that. That really, really helped me along. And so I ended up actually starting to appreciate water more, as I could actually taste clean water, and it's nice. I have some clean water here. But just making those healthy lifestyle changes made a dynamic difference in my energy levels. Like I said, I watched the weight peel off. I've still got some of the skin and stuff that's left over from it, which kind of sucks. But I'm much happier now with how I physically am than I was back then. I don't have to buy 44-inch waist jeans anymore. I'm wearing between 34 and 36, depends on who makes the jeans. And you know how good that feels? And again, like I said, my weight loss journey, it did not happen through going to the gym every day and just constantly working out. Like, nobody's really got time for that. And honestly, I'm a bit lazy. But I did start getting out. I started going to like a lot of concerts and shows, on my weekends. I started walking around more. I got into jobs that required a little bit more physical activity and things like that. It really, really helped. I think the total weight loss was something like almost 117 pounds or something like that. Or 127 pounds. I'll tell you, best decision I ever made. Best decision I ever made. Going natural, just kicking out a lot of the bad habits, a lot of the trash, that will help so much. And going back to the people that do have health conditions and that really can't control and can't handle or can't do anything about the massive gains because of their medications and stuff like that, even if you do some of the things that I'm talking about tonight about losing weight, a lot of this will restore your energy. And that's a big part of all of it. If you can't cut the weight, get the energy back and enjoy life a little bit more. And if your body is healthy or whatever medical conditions that you're dealing with, that's probably going to help you in the long run getting that energy back. But again, I'm not a doctor. Definitely talk to a doctor about what you can do, whether you do have a serious condition or you don't have a serious condition. Because again, I worry about we hear about all these people that are falling out with heart problems and stuff. From all these lockdowns and stuff that we went through, it does become a shock to the system. So I don't suggest going out there and being that, that muscle head dude. Don't go out there and just grab weights and start pumping them out of control, because your heart's probably going to pop regardless. And I wonder, I really do wonder if that is a part of all of it. People, on the right and a lot of the anti-vax type people, they want to instantly say, oh, that guy died from the vaccine. And it's just like, well, maybe. There's no proof one way or another. But can we also consider that guy may have been sitting in his house for a year and a half doing nothing, and then all of a sudden tried to go run the 800 meter? Can we consider that too? There might be something else involved with that. But, it is what it is. I've ranted long enough about the whole weight loss thing. I thought this was a great thing. I found this article on the Federalist. Please, if you can stay away from the medications, definitely stay away from the medications. Go over there to the Federalist, check out this article a little bit more. Let's see here. Yeah, there's that. But yeah, go over here to the Federalist, check this out. I thought this was a really good article, and I really think that the conversation that these two have about this issue is very, very relevant. It's a very good thing to be talking about and getting out into the open. Bill Maher does, he mentions it, exercise and good dieting routines. There is legitimacy to it. I'm living proof of it. You start doing better in your life, start moving around more, start eating smaller portions. That helps too. I know that can be torture. A little cheat code. If you guys remember when we were kids, those long popsicles that just in a long plastic sleeve. They don't have a stick in them or anything. Normally they come in the bag, the netted bag. That was another little bit of a cheat code for me because they're sugar free. And whenever I got food cravings, I'd go get one of those popsicles. And there's some psychology in those things when you start eating them and using them as a supplement. But it helped out so much. I'm one of those guys. When I get addicted to something, it's really hard to kick the habit completely. Like I said, I stopped smoking cigarettes. I went over to vaping. And so I did find a crutch for that, and hopefully I'll be getting off of the vaping soon. But for my eating cravings, because I could solo a whole pizza to myself at one time. So my eating cravings, what I did is I just started eating popsicles all the time. And that's no more than just drinking some fruit juice at that point. It's a lot better for your body. You get those cravings, go for a walk. Try to find something to do. And if you gotta eat something, if you went for a walk, at least you've burned calories that you're replacing at that point, and that's actually good for you. So, look into these things. Look into dieting programs if you really want to. Aggressive food diets aren't really the best things, but just start reducing your meals. If you're eating 5-6 slices of pizza, go down to 4. And then after a few months, go down to 3. And you'll find that eating that extra slice just becomes kind of burdensome. If you cut the sodas and stuff, one of the craziest things to me was after 90 days of not really drinking any soda, like I said, every soda became very heavy on me. In fact, I had a Dr. Pepper today, and yeah, it made me so tired. I was just laid out in this chair earlier before the show, so I drank water and flushed myself out and actually feel better. It's wild how our bodies respond like that. So, I'm learning a lot about me. I saw this article and I thought, man, this would be a great thing to talk about. My name is Drew Smith. This is We Talk Freely. It's brought to you by Green Table Gaming. Like I said, that's a new gaming channel that I'm bringing back out. I used to do farm sim videos on there, and hopefully here in the next couple weeks I'm going to start going live on Twitch again on that, so look for me there. We do have some old videos on my YouTube page, so if you want to check them out, you can. They're kind of cringe. And also this is brought to you by the Local Spin. These guys are going to start doing some shorts and stuff for me, which I think is really cool. And we got some other producers that are going to be coming in, so look out for their names as well. Local Spin is doing a huge fundraiser right now. I meant to bring that up earlier, so if you got some extra money and you want to help boost conservative voices, want to help boost this show as well as theirs, look them up, go to their page, check them out, check out what they're doing, and if you can, donate what you can. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, y'all take care of yourselves and stay out of trouble. Thank you.